Am I the butthole for ruining family therapy? My 18F mom died when I was 7. My father aka step-siblings dad remarried a year later. His new wife had 3 kids at 8MB6MC3F. He said she wanted a dad for her kids and he wanted a mom for me. I remember telling him I didn't want a new mom. He said I would understand later. My step-siblings' dad basically stopped doing anything alone with me. No more camping nights in the backyard or movie nights, which we had done every week for years. Nothing. He spent time with all his new kids to bond. It's been 11 years, and he still doesn't have time for me BC he's bonding with them. He stopped coming to my games when I got to HS. His wife and I have nothing in common. I play 3 sports and I'm on the speech team. She's very girly and like girl trips to buy clothes and makeup at different malls. She knows I don't want to go, but just tells my step-siblings' dad that she invited me. I have a teammate I play 2 sports with. Her parents have become like my own. She said she is totally fine with it. I've make sure all the time BC I don't want to take someone else's parents. But she's always the one to invite me over, brings her parents to my swim meets BC she knows no one will be there for me. Invited me to go shopping for Mother Father Day gifts and says they're from both of us. Her parents get me holiday gifts and say I'm always welcome. Senior night at basketball, I told her my step-sibling's dad isn't going to walk me around the floor BC he doesn't even come to games. She asked her dad to walk both of us and he was happy to. In a small town that made the paper BC they thought it was sweet. My step-sibling's dad flipped out and took us all to therapy. He asked why he hadn't been asked. I said BC he didn't come to games. He said he didn't know I played basketball anymore. I asked if that's why he didn't come to swim or softball when he couldn't miss A and B's practices. Or come to speech meets when he went to C's dance recitals. He just stared at me and said he didn't know I still did those either. I asked why he talked for days about B's camping trip, but didn't ask about my senior trip to Mexico. He said he didn't know I went. I said he signed the form. He admitted he didn't read it. I asked if he remembered the last time I called him dad. He said he didn't know I stopped. I said May 13, 2021. He said that was the day ABC started. I said I know. You stopped being my dad when you started being theirs. I walked out of therapy. Edit. I played all 3 since I was a toddler, so I'm not sure why he thought I stopped. He never asked why I came home a couple hours after practice or went out on weekends for game days. When I talked about games, he said I thought I was just playing with friends BC all my friends play. Update got deleted. Basically, I'm getting some info on my trust and belongings it paid for. My friend's dad tried to confront my step-sibling's dad about why I can't go over anymore, but he just shut the door on him and I check in daily with my friend or her parents via phone. My step-siblings are all mad at both their parents and are being very supportive. Update because a lot of people were worried about me not being able to get my things from my bio father's house and going back to therapy. Turns out it's not even necessary. After my last post, my stepmother SM wanted us all to go to the lake house. That's her happy place, safe space sanctuary, she says, and it's her answer to everything. Wants the boys out. She sends my bio father and her sons to the lake house. Time with her daughter. Lake house, time alone. Lake house by herself. She does photography there and she's right. It does look like a postcard. 2-story cabin style. They never took me for the girls' trips or boy trips, only when everyone went together. My step-siblings won't call bio father dad anymore. My SM said if he isn't their dad and she isn't my mom, why are they even married? Bio F asked if she wanted a divorce and she said she didn't sign up for the drama. They argued and we went hang out by the lake. We've been getting along great now against the parents, which I didn't see coming. Anyway, we went back to therapy yesterday and my stepsis brought up are they getting divorced. Bio F said not if they can work it out in therapy. Therapist asked if it could be amicable cause it's obvious they're cold to each other. SM said her kids could see bio father but she would just want her place. He said that wasn't possible BC, it's actually mine BC, my mom had it before they were married and it's part of the prenup. SM was livid and ugly, cried. Mad all the way home. Then asked about the house we live in. BF tried to get her out of the kitchen, but she screamed, and he admitted that my grandpa gave it to my mom as a wedding gift before they were married. Turns out he won't let me move out BC, the house is actually mine since I turned 18. She said split the savings BC, they had been living way below their means. He told her most the saving certificates of deposits were accounts set up for me by mom's parents. She has been crying in her room and says I'm selfish for not letting her have the lake house my great G-pa built and gave to my G-pa who gave it to my mom. Next story. Would I be the butthole if I 33F for not helping my sister 30F with a good reference for a job she's more than qualified for? My sister Claudia and I are not close. Very low contact, always family related. Around 14 her and 17 me. She stole my boyfriend 16M by giving up more physically than I was willing to. After that kind of betrayal, I've never trusted her fully and have kept my partners distant from her. I'd like to be clear that it's not just this event alone, but this was the major event that made me pull back from her. This awful behavior has continued throughout Claudia's life. She's stolen the boyfriends of several three that I know of her now ex-friends, and always seems to get bored as soon as the guy leaves his partner for her. Claudia is not a very nice person, but she is superficially charming and makes a good first impression. Twice now at work Claudia has seduced her married supervisor. This has happened with 2 different people at 2 different jobs and caused an absolute crap show that ended up in the guys resigning. I have no idea what happened to their home situations, but it couldn't have been good. Claudia thrives on drama and absolutely loves it. I've suggested counseling, but was shot down. I'd have to have a problem to need counseling. Claudia likes the chase more than anything else, and there's nothing wrong with that. She justifies her behavior with anyone that didn't want to cheat wouldn't cheat. You can see why we don't talk much. My friend Brennan, who I met through a previous job, is now in the same industry as Claudia, and Claudia recently found that Brennan's company is hiring. Brennan is sorta HR for the small company Claudia is interested in, and Claudia has applied. Brennan sent an email, I should note. It was from his personal address, not his company account, asking if I could vouch for Claudia, and I'm stuck now. Claudia can absolutely do this job. She will be great at it, except for the fact that she will probably ruin someone's marriage in the process. The fact that she's done this at 2/3 places she's worked long-term since college is uncomfortable, and there are 6 times I personally know of that she's done this. Claudia is currently single. I don't know what to do, but I'm leaning to not replying to the email and calling Brennan to give my honest opinion that she would be an excellent technical fit but a disaster socially. That way it's not in writing, and Brennan can still be told. But I'm directly sabotaging my sister's prospects if I do that. But again, I'm directly sabotaging Brennan if I don't tell him what Claudia is liable to do. Claudia will pass any screen they give her. She's charming and has no record of any kind. Would I be the butthole if I told Brennan my sister would be a great technical fit but would be a social disaster? Update. I called Brennan. It had been nearly a day since his email when I posted. Turns out the reason he reached out to me is because Claudia passed her screening reference check with the company, but Brennan had final say because he was going to be working with her directly on some policy stuff, and so he had to like who they were hiring. Brennan had been hearing rumors going on around about Claudia as well, and wanted to reach out to me to ask me if I'd be honest with him and tell him if they were true, and if working with Claudia was going to be a nightmare for him. This is where my tightrope walk began. I said that I couldn't discuss any rumors relating to my sister with a potential new workplace as that would be inappropriate. I said that I refused to give a reference on her as I've never worked with her and she is family. I said I hoped he understood. Brennan thanked me and said he wouldn't be hiring her after my refusal. I panicked a bit, realizing I may have just cost her this job. He said it wasn't my refusal personally. But the rumors flying around were too much of a risk when he has a candidate with 90% of Claudia's abilitas experience and none of the potential drama. Brennan said if I'd been willing to vouch for Claudia, or if either of the other two personal contacts he had panned out to reply about her, he might have taken the leap. Everyone refused, and that was a pattern to him. Brennan then freaked out a little that he might have said too much, so both of us were just sort of in an anxiety hoedown for a bit while awkwardly comforting the other. The end of the call was super cringy and embarrassing. I imagine it will be a while before we speak again. So it appears my sister's drama has cost her a job offer. But I now feel incredibly guilty because I could have been the one to stand up for her and make her get the job. I didn't. I haven't heard from my sister about it and doubt I will. Brennan was not the one to interview her or reject her. He met her on one group call, so I don't think she will even consider him or me as the reason for this. Thanks everyone for your help in dealing with this neatly. Next story. Am I the butthole for opening my M28 girlfriend's F27 gift that she did not want to open? My girlfriend recently had a birthday. We had a small get-together at our apartment, but my girlfriend feels uncomfortable opening gifts in front of people because of the pressure, and all of our friends know that. She opened them privately that evening. 2 days later, my parents' gift arrived. My parents are on the wealthy side and bought her a designer handbag she had been openly admiring the last time we visited. They had purchased the bag that weekend and had been saving it for her birthday. She responded a thank you before she opened it and would let them know when she did. The box sat on our dresser for about 2 days before my parents sent a text wondering if she had opened it yet. I asked her when she would open the gift, and she just shrugged and said, soon. I was also really excited to see her open this gift. I knew that it was something she really wanted. A few more days passed. My parents checked in again about whether she had opened the gift. At this point, my girlfriend came to me and asked if I could tell my parents to back off, as she was feeling too much pressure around opening the gift and it was making her not want to open it. I admit that I have never really understood this, and I told her that I didn't get why she wouldn't open it. My parents weren't there, and all it would require is a thank you text at the very least to acknowledge it. To me, it was the exact same as our friends leaving the party before opening her gifts. She got really frustrated with me and said, "You just don't get how uncomfortable it makes me." About a week after the gift arrived, my parents texted me outside of our group chat and asked if she liked the bag. I told them she still had not opened the gift. They asked me if they had made her uncomfortable, if they had overstepped in any way or something. They've gotten her gifts before that have never gone over like this. I truly did not understand why she was not opening it. And at this point, I thought it was borderline rude to not open it and acknowledge the gift. She went out with her friends yesterday evening, and I opened the box for her, displayed the bag on the dresser so that the pressure of opening it was removed and we could just move on. I really thought I was doing her a favor and ending this awkward situation. When she got home and saw it, she was pissed. She said she had guessed it was the bag she had wanted and felt awkward knowing it was an expensive gift and that she did not feel comfortable opening it yet. I tried to explain that she was being a bit rude putting it off, but she said it was more rude of me to open it for her. We went to bed shortly after, and she was very short with me this morning. The bag is still sitting on the dresser where I left it. So, am I the butthole? Update. I wasn't planning on updating, but there were some things in the comments I wanted to address. Most importantly, my GF and I are still together. Not once did it cross my mind that she was avoiding the gift because she wanted to break up with me. We've been together for 3 years and are in a loving relationship. I effed up in this situation, but we'll get through it. I was raised in a polite, always send a thank you card kind of way, which it seems other people in the comments can relate to. But my parents were in no way bombarding us with texts or harassing her over this gift. We have a group chat together, and they sent a follow-up text every other day or so just wondering if she had opened it. They are definitely nosy Midwestern parents, But we both know they were not coming from a place of negativity or blame or in any way trying to pressure her into something. They were genuinely excited to have been able to provide this gift for her. They have a great relationship. Yes, my girlfriend has expressed discomfort around opening gifts before, but not in a way that indicated she doesn't like receiving them. She has told me she just hates the pressure of reacting a certain way in front of people, and also thinks it can be awkward for other gift givers. Usually, if someone gifts her something, she opens it as soon as she is in private. On her birthday, I left her gift by the bed and went to get breakfast. When I came back, she had opened it and was happy with it. That's why I was so confused as to why she had not opened this gift. As effed as it sounds, I really did think I was helping by opening the gift. Comments have helped me realize exactly where I went wrong, but I never had the intention of manipulating her or coercing her or controlling her. I admit that I let my own desire to see her joy at the gift overshadow the true intention. When we returned home from work yesterday, we sat down together to work it all out, starting with me apologizing for ruining her gift. She told me she had called my parents on her lunch break and thanked them. She told me she had a feeling they'd gotten her the bag after she'd been talking about it and was both excited and anxious about the cost. She said by the time the package arrived she had gotten her hopes up and felt guilty of potential disappointment if she opened it and it wasn't the bag, and that her anxiety around it continued to build up as it sat there. She apologized to me for not being able to communicate that clearly beforehand. I do understand this, and I know that I jumped the gun a bit. We also talked a bit around neurodivergence. I appreciate everyone who posted about their experience with anxiety/autism/OCD. It's not the first time she has been told she has autistic or OCD tendencies, though at the moment she is unsure if she wants to move forward with getting a diagnosis. Next story. Am I the butthole for telling my fiancé that he stole my best friend's proposal idea? My boyfriend 26M and I 24F have been in a relationship for 2 years and just got engaged last week. The engagement itself was wonderful, but I couldn't help but notice how similar it was to a conversation I had with my best friend 23F of over a decade. A conversation that happened many years ago, in which she detailed exactly what she would do if she proposed to me, and it was very specific to my general likes and interests. And I mean specific. At the time I told her that sounds perfect and hold on to that for later. It's pretty clear to me that he did approach her, and she let him know about this plan. So, after the day itself, I told my new fiancé that it was cute that he asked her how I wanted to be proposed to, but I joked that he stole her entire, very detailed plan, so it was more her proposal than his. He went quiet and then got angry, then it all came out. He said that he always felt second place to my best friend, that I was only marrying him to satisfy my religious family, that I have been lying about my preferences, and that I'm probably having an affair with my friend. I was shocked. He's never expressed this to me before. He's complained in the past that I spend too much time with her, so I accommodated for his needs as best as I could without losing my best friend. But I had no idea he thinks I'm having an affair. I tried to reassure him, but I thought it would be better to leave and told him that we would talk about it later. We haven't been in contact, and though I haven't told my best friend about this, others in my life think that he was completely valid for blowing up, and I need to do all I can to fix this relationship. Was I in a hole for making that joke? Update. I would like to start by saying thank you to everyone who responded to this post. It put things into better perspective for me. I apologize to my partner, not just for the joke, but for making him feel the way that I did. I keep receiving messages asking for updates, so I just wanted to hop on and clarify a few things that I didn't want to talk about before. I was asked about my orientation. I identify as asexual and my partner is straight. We had a great, low intimacy relationship. I stayed loyal throughout our relationship. We discussed how this was going to work at length when we were first together and often talked about boundaries, so I didn't think this was a big problem. Turns out it was. Someone found this post and sent it to him. He found it funny enough to show to our mutual friends, but in doing that, he accidentally showed his own Reddit account. After some digging, they saw that he had a very different set of views to what I previously thought, and was involved in quite a few incel-ish posts in different communities. Apparently, he had suspicions for a while that I had been lying to him about my preference and I was a lesbian, but he thought I would change my mind over time. This came as a total shock to me. A lot of people showed confusion over his behavior, including me, and now this information has come out. It makes more sense that he was letting go of grievances he had been holding onto for a while. Needless to say, the relationship is done. I gave the ring back and offered to pay for the cost of the proposal, which he declined. I think it's ultimately for the best. And to you, because I'm sure you're going to read this, thank you for everything. I hope that we can both learn and grow from this separately, and I wish you all the best in that. As for whether I'm going to dramatically elope with my best friend, I doubt it. We're like sisters. She's been happily married to a lovely man for the last 3 years. We're just close, I guess. Anyway, thank you all again for your sometimes brutal honesty in this. All in all, things worked out for the best. Next story. Me 28M with my GF or ex now. I think 28F of 4 years. We set up a life and a home. She just ended it after realizing she needed to find herself. So this is fresh, probably too fresh to post anything. But I don't really have any family or people to talk to, so here it goes. GF just ended our 4-year relationship after I did some poking and prodding. We have a house, a life. I just finished saving for a ring last week. Tomorrow we have reservations for our 4-year anniversary, and I'm hyperventilating a bit. The story is a little complicated. She's had a hereditary disease her whole life. We started dating when she was in remission of sorts, and she got sick again about a year in. It's been a mess of new drugs, sickness, health, etc. for her. We've made it through together. It made our bond very strong. I own my own business, so I was able to work and support us both when she couldn't work her full-time job. However, this business found me pretty successful at a young age. I fell into a deep, deep depression. She helped me through that just by being there, but it's been rough. I gained back 90 of the 100 pounds I lost in high school, drank heavily. I became much more withdrawn. I lost my lust for life. All for a business. She's always been the type to never speak up. She never wants to upset anyone to a fault she was walked all over in past relationships, jobs, etc. I pushed as hard as I could to figure out simple things, like what she wants to eat for dinner. Her doctors had a note not to trust what she says because she's oftentimes more sick than she says she feels. About 18 months ago, we made the decision to move after living together for a year out of the city. The city was killing us, and we picked out a house in our dream location. I purchased it knowing full well it's not smart to own a house with and so you're not married to. We made the decision she'd finally quit her job and go back to school for a career she loves. It took her our whole relationship to do so. I've been supporting us 100% the whole time without her asking. She's always felt terrible about it. This change kicked me out of my depression. We were in a place that I could thrive in. She could go to school and work, and we could have a family. I hired people, started working a normal schedule, stopped drinking heavily, and most importantly, my focus was life again, not business. I was living for experiences. She loved the change in me. We were more active. She dove into school, and all was good. We talked heavily about marriage, had a rough time frame. Everything was going really great. Then she got sick in October, like really sick. 6 weeks in the hospital. I hired extra people and commuted 5 hours a day to see her, only missing 3 days. She ultimately had surgery and has been recovering at home the past month, able to get out and about a bit. I noticed a change as she was in the hospital. She wasn't excited to see me. I started having panic attacks when I got home due to the hours and schedule. I had thoughts of overwhelming dread that she was actually falling out of our relationship. We talked about it, and she assured me that was not the case, and through some reading I found that these thoughts were part of the depression I thought was gone. As she's been home recovering, I've done everything I can. I noticed our sporadic conversations about the future stopped. She turned away or changed the subject when I mentioned kids. She never kissed me. I had to kiss her. No hugs, no nothing. So finally tonight I just pushed her. I could only ask, "You okay?" so much, as I had the past 4 months. She broke. She said she had a lot of time to think in the hospital. She said she wasn't living for herself, and she needs to find herself, and she feels horrible because for 4 years I've pushed her daily to find her passions and follow them, not to think of others first in such an extreme. I did this because that's what I do. I work my dream job, and I want that for her. She says she feels like she's holding me back. She loves me, and I think I believe that because she's refusing to let me settle. But damn, do I still love her? Most upsetting, she said that she's never felt at home in our house. She's felt like it was always mine, and she was a girlfriend staying over. I pressed this issue before we moved, asking her where she'd like to live anywhere in the world. I can work from anywhere. She said this was a great idea. Please know that I've also got no design sense, I'm just the muscle. So it's not a matter of my stuff being all over the place. She's decorated very nicely. So here I sit, sober, crying, fat, with no one to call. No close family or friends in 120-mile radius. I can't bring myself to open the door to the office I just built out for her new career, and the paint is literally drying from earlier tonight. We moved to a family area, no more college scene. I read advice to throw yourself into work, and I have a job that almost killed me once. And I will be alone in this house that was, in 2-3 years, meant for our family. Money is not an issue. I love the area, I love our home, and I do not wish to leave. It truly is my dream to live here, but it was my dream to live here with our family that we had planned. Life lesson: nothing is set in stone. So how do I even start to cope? We still love each other, we're best friends. I'm going up to sleep in our bed because I can't bring myself to sleep in the guest room, and she doesn't want me to. She's going to stay while we untangle our life, and she, along with my family and hers, are afraid of what I'll do to myself. I'm not going anywhere. I've never been suicidal. But I sure as hell can't drink this one away, because the drinking won't stop. But she's going to leave, like soon. I know it's not fair to hold on to the idea that she might just need to do some soul searching and come back. And I know that, being so sick for so long, she really didn't have a chance to figure out what she wanted. But I just can't help but feel absolutely gutted that it took this long for it to come out, because I can't see my life without us. It's the most life-shattering thing I've ever felt. Update 1. The past 24 hours have been a beautiful and sad journey. After the initial shock wore off, we've done a lot of talking, and for the first time we've been completely honest with each other at the same time. We've been waiting and waiting for our relationship to fit into the life we've built around it. We've had a hard go at it with the sicknesses, depression, and ultimately the transitional time in our lives. It was a hard time for everyone around us, getting out of college and finding ourselves. We both care so much for each other that we tried to force it to work, ultimately denying our own desires in the process. Personally, I admitted to myself that I am more afraid to be alone in this house and area than I am upset our time living together is ending. I have struggled with this since we moved here 18 months ago, because this is my dream. However, I've had serious doubts about our relationship, and the thing that kept me from saying anything was a fear of the unknown, a fear of living alone, as an adult, for the first time in my life. It was very clear that it's not fair for me to feel guilty about the life I've built, and this is very true. Likewise, it is not fair to blame her for not wanting the same life. I do wish she had spoke up sooner, but ultimately I love her for trying to make it work because she wanted me to be happy. Simply does not know what she wants. She thought she wanted a house, kids, and a family, and when they started coming she realized that she didn't know what she wanted. She only knows that she doesn't know what she wants. We are both adamant that life is too short to settle. This is important. We've been living as best friends for a long time now, years maybe. Saying this out loud was a relief, because it does no mean either of us want our relationship to end, it just needs to evolve into its proper state. We decided to take the week to pack her stuff up, and while it is sad, it's amazing to be with each other now that this is in the open. Sure, there is the initial feeling of hatred at everything that reminds us of the relationship, because it's a hard thing to close an overall happy time in your life when you know it's for the best. But this is not an angry breakup, and it's been important to realize that the memories of these objects are all good memories. When the sweeping feelings of fear and sadness go away, happiness will remain. I've come to realize that it's not healthy to fill a void in oneself with a relationship. My biggest fear is being alone, because I don't yet know how to do that. This relationship became a way for me to fill that void and avoid the fear. I know the process is just starting, and I know there will be some hard days ahead, but I have a feeling that I've felt much more alone in our relationship the past year than I will outside of it. XQ and I aren't denying that we are very good friends, so this isn't goodbye. It's a change in living situation, and a new personal journey for the both of us. And so life goes on. I've started the hunt for the right therapist, and my short-term plan is to get through moving her out. I will admit that the thought of taking her key is terrifying, and I'll miss the small things like the tampon box in the closet and the shoes all over the entry. But as time passes, I think this sadness will reside, and only happy memories will remain as we reminisce and catch up over lunch someday soon. Update 2. I didn't know what to expect from this event, because I had been dreading it for over a year. It's fair to say that the anxiety, worry, and pain it caused in that time ran my life. I didn't take inventory of this worry, though, until we separated. Today I find myself with the familiar pit in my stomach, the one that's become a companion of sorts since we bought the house, and then remember that there is nothing to worry about. It quote is done. And I truly feel much better. I have a lot of anxiety about the future. I have to come to terms with the fact that I've been preparing for marriage and a child in serious ways, and that plan is on hold. XF and I have been living together since we decided to part ways a couple days ago. We didn't know what else to do. It just felt wrong and inappropriate to rip the band-aid after such an amicable decision. But I think we were both skeptical that it wasn't a good idea. It turns out it was the best thing we could have done, because it took some time for us to open up and ultimately resolve this entire thing. Last night I came home after being out most of the day letting her pack. She hadn't got much done, just kind of started a few chores and was visibly shaken. She saw me and started crying, because I would find out later she really thought I was making up the whole "we've been living as best friends" thing to get her through the move out. She sees how much I do love and care for her, and it upset her because she thought she would be breaking my heart. It's important to note that this illustrates her issues. Putting others ahead of yourself is mostly a good thing, but when you value the simple happiness of those around you over your long-term emotional well-being to the extent it affects your quality of life, it's unhealthy. I recognized this and was hell-bent on making sure she wasn't staying the rest of the week just for me. This was the catalyst for probably the most honest and healing talk we've ever had. We sat on the couch for hours, talking about us and what happened. Ultimately, she saw that I was completely honest with her, and that changed everything. We had both felt the same way for so long. Once that thin veil of a romantic relationship was lifted and the expectation was gone, we instantly opened up and have actually been closer than we've ever been. It's strange and unexpected, but I think it's very welcomed from both sides. We have a very special relationship, it just isn't romantic. I think the most complicated thing about this situation is how simple it is. We are two people that fell in love, and that love transformed into the love of two close friends over time. We saw it all the way to the end, as far as we could go before a refused proposal ruined our relationship. We tried ... It just didn't work in that way. She told me that she had waited for months because she had no idea her feelings were mutual. Years of business have taught me not to wear my heart on my sleeve, and while I lived with these thoughts, I was very careful not to show my hand. Why? It's complicated. Our relationship was an ebb and flow of emotion. She was extremely sick at times and extremely healthy at other times. I was the same with my depression. I have always been her main caregiver during this, and those doubts became hard to justify as true or circumstantial for both of us. Our relationship was very much that of a parent and child at times. It became a waiting game. It's not easy to think straight when you're spending 40 hours in the car 6 weeks in a row with your life on hold, or working a job you hate because you don't want to upset your coworkers by leaving. As we always experienced periods of health after the sickness, there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. We both care for each other so much and understood sickness that we didn't want that to be a determining factor in our future healthy lives. So we both waited. In the spurts of good health, we continued to build the life we thought we wanted, never stopping to assess the one determining factor together, our relationship. We simply thought we needed to see the big picture, and in a way I think we did. Now that the life is set up, there are no doubts in either of our minds. We talked a lot about the timing. Because she felt terrible, it came up when she was in the hospital and around the holiday. Keep in mind she had thought this was one-sided, so she had wanted to say something but didn't want to ruin this time of year. I think this was the first time she really knew I was being truthful when I said I felt the same way, and there has never been a good time to do this. She said she felt guilty because she wanted us to see each other's families one last time. This was a green light for my ultimate conclusion that we weren't crazy. This had simply turned into a great friendship. I asked her, if we were old friends from college, what would have been different about our holiday? She and I both spend days with other friends' families this time of year, and besides maybe sharing a bed instead of taking the floor, there was no difference. We are very close friends with each other's family members, and none of those relationships have to change. I think in the end, we are going to go on to stay good friends with very little break because that's what we've been for 2 years. We both think our friendship will grow now that the awkward expectation of romance no longer exists and we're mutually happy about it. I am very scared to be alone, and that is my next big adventure. It's going to be one day at a time, and I am not looking for a big break until I venture on to start the family hunt from zero. But I know that I have to be okay here by myself to have any sort of chance at a healthy relationship in the future. So that's what I'll do first. Final update. Today, she moved out of our home. We always called it a home, but I don't think we ever got there. I think it was still just a house to both of us. Her whole family decided to come. We are very close, and I've always felt closer to them than almost my entire real family. A lot of my pain did not come from our separation because there truly is no heartbreak there. We love each other deeply, but it is a familial love. It has not been romantic love for a long time. My pain came from the thought I was losing part of my family. Their friendship, their intelligence, and their love are all things I've come to feel are my own. And so they came to help her, sure. But they also came to support me. They came to hug me and cry with me, and to let both of us know that this is not crazy but the most mature and perfect thing to do. They came to make sure I knew we'd be sailing and laughing around the dinner table very soon. Mostly they came to move her things into the truck and then to move my extra stuff from the basement to the empty spaces. They did this out of love, and I felt that deeply all day today. This whole experience sounds like crap to most, and if I were reading this I would agree. What happens when one of us moves on and starts seeing someone else? We don't know, but we do know that we both want to see the other happy, and we've both lived in this relationship with so much guilt watching the other compromise to try and make it fit. In the days that followed our decision to separate, we felt a lot of things. It took a lot of time for us to sort through years of buried thoughts and emotion. We did that, lifting the pressure of romance and embracing the warmth of close friendship. And I'm glad we had our week because I don't think our relationship has ever been better. Ultimately, we are doing this for the right reasons, and we are doing it for very similar reasons. I have a lot of unresolved issues, and my alone time in the past has led to drinking issues and depression because I just didn't have the skills to conquer it. I am afraid to be alone. I can't build a healthy relationship until I learn how to do this. I have been debating our relationship for years against being alone, and while it wasn't the correct decision, it was always the easy one. I spent years taking care of her, and it was out of love, but it was also because taking care of myself was harder. This is wrong and not fair to myself or her. She has never been alone and has sought the happiness and validation of others to bring herself happiness. She has stayed in situations not for herself, but for others involved because of this. She went to the college her parents wanted and stayed because her roommate wanted her to. She was destroyed in previous relationships because she put her needs second and was walked all over. She's stayed in horrible jobs for years because she didn't want to inconvenience her superiors by having to hire a new person. She moved up here for me because she did not know what she truly wanted. She will not be successful in a relationship until she can put herself first and know that she is not compromising herself for the other person. And she was able to finally recognize that because of our relationship. There is no denying that our time together has been the best of both our lives. And there is absolutely a great sadness that it is over. This is not jargon to avoid that. As we separated and untangled our stuff, we were regaining our own individuality and independence. This week there was a lot of crying, but the tears were happy. And we've had so many good experiences that we've both grown into better people because of the other. Reliving the past 4 years was therapeutic and beautiful. It brought us closer together as friends, and we celebrated that this experience will only get better from here. We have a long road ahead, and our first lesson is that we are not we anymore. I am me, and she is herself. We have both spent a long time living one life, and we both agree that while it probably isn't what two perfect emotional people would do, it was an amazing experience that we wouldn't change. We both became better people because of each other, and that's a successful relationship in my book. But it is no longer our house, our bedroom, or our fridge. It is mine, because I live alone now. It is important for me not to cry every time I slip and say, we, because I do not yet have any I memories. That will come next, and as scary as it might be, I am excited. I will make my house a home, I will not drink to bury the fear, and I will begin therapy and move past my demons. I look forward to learning the fine art form of me. I thank you all for the support this week, Reddit. You have been very kind, and I think this will be my last update for the time being as I take on the next chapter of an already incredible life. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel James Stories.